What's up everyone, my name is Forsaken, and today we are going to review a game called Earthfall. Earthfall is a game which was recently released on Steam. Well, recently released in the sense that it has just left early access. Let's begin by talking about early access games in general. This, like so many other non-AAA games these days, has spent an extended period of time in early access on Steam. Essentially, they're like extended beta tests. I don't like them for a lot of reasons. I mean, I understand the concept where it helps to develop games and allows players to help steer the game to an end product where it may not have been otherwise. Now, ideally, this end product ends up being something better due to the early access beta testing, rather. But some cases, games fall into this trap where they'll stay into early access for like years in the case of something like Rust. A side effect of these games being in early access for so long is people play them as if they are not currently being beta tested, essentially. So player counts peak and they crash long before the game is actually released fully. And this game, I spent 10 hours this weekend playing it, 2 sessions, 5 hours apiece roughly. And my party was open, a public match the whole time, and never did I have one player join me. I think that speaks volumes with a game that came out essentially a week ago, I believe. Because it came out in early access previously, and it's been in early access for so long, any people that were really interested in playing this game have already played it, finished it, because you'll see there's not really much to finish. There's 10 hours of gameplay essentially, like I just said, and you could probably do it a lot quicker than that. It just took me that long for me dicking around with my friends and dying unintentionally a lot. And I was actually really excited about this game because it was advertised, well, not officially advertised, but it was advertised nonetheless as being it's just like Left 4 Dead, but with aliens. You like both of those things, right? I got peanut butter and your chocolate, come try this shit out. But it is similar to Left 4 Dead, vaguely. And that's another thing that I don't like is people don't go, oh, it is most similar to this type of game than you might know. People have to, pump up the hype or whatever, and they're like, insert popular gaming title or franchise plus variable equals money. That says very little about the actual game. So we'll start with the story. As you play through this game, there is, well, no story. There is no discernible arc at all whatsoever. Like, you are the protagonist, the aliens are the antagonists, but that's it. You don't know why they're here, where they came from, what they want. Are they here of their own volition? Why your characters met up? Who they are? What they want? Or absolutely anything. There's this vague, tenuous connection to somebody named Jacob. He's referred to multiple times like, oh, we got a message from Jacob. Or Jacob said that there's a cache over here. Or Jacob's last known location. But who is he? Nobody knows. Why are we following him? Why is he worthy of us following him? Does he have the cure? Well, I guess since they're not zombies, there can't be a cure or whatever, but does he have the secret Omega weapon that's going to save the planet from the invasion? No. The only thing you find out, hashtag spoiler alert, he has no legs, and he dies within, I don't know, 2, maybe 3 minutes of the first time you've met him. And even then, it's over audio channels. Psych? Do people still say psych? I don't know. You'll understand what I mean through the context. There is a story, you see, but the story is unlocked through finding certain in-world game items, scanning them, or well, inspecting them rather, then that unlocks a data point within the lore journal that can only be accessed from the main menu. So it's like it's some type of game mechanic. Like, oh, you have to get all the collectibles so you know what's going on. No, that's weak. It's lazy. And then if you do go back to look at it, they don't really tell you anything. It's vague and generic. It's a disappointment. They did it to be cheap, to save money, because you don't have to hire voice actors. You don't have to edit into the dialogue. You don't have to write a complex story. You know, like, oh, it's a horde shooter. Give them guns, point them towards the aliens, rinse, repeat. So, graphics. The graphics are fair. Backgrounds are nice. The aliens look unique enough that they don't remind you terribly of any number of enemies you've seen before, but they look similar enough to the traditional roles that they play within a horde shooter that you can determine their role by looking at them. For instance, most horde shooters have an enemy that explodes. When you see it coming towards you, you know, okay, it's large and bulbous. It looks infected. It looks like it's going to, well, pop. So, you know, it's your bloater or whatever, say from like State of Decay, I think that was from. You have your large hulking behemoths called beasts in this game. Essentially, they're just tanks. You know, they charge at you and sponge damage. There are two unique enemies to this game. Well, unique to my experiences anyways. One is called the Enrager. Essentially, it just buffs the surrounding enemies. They become more aggressive. They have a higher damage output. I think their HP increases. So the one that was the most unique was called the Blackout. Essentially, it was like some psychic shielded tentacle monster. So please, everyone leave your waifus at home. This enemy's combat was unique. So it had shields that rotated around it, and it would attack you with, I don't know, laser projectiles or something. Who knows? Not traditional laser, because a laser is made of light, so it would travel to you instantly. So something you could see coming towards you, it couldn't technically be a laser, whatever, you know, geek shit. Though it would move around through teleporting, and it would leave a nice little trail where it went, so you can determine where it went and not be completely blindsided by wherever it appeared or whatever. I mean, they were fairly easy to defeat. The vast majority of the enemies you fought were actually your standard cannon fodder. You know, this franchise typically has some drone that comes at you in an endless stream. One-shot, headshot type enemies, you know. Which made the majority of this gameplay pretty dull. You just shoot them with your pistols until one of the special enemies come along, because God help you if you get caught with one of the beasts or the blackouts without any primary weapon ammo. It's a wrap. Not to mention the ever-present threat of the, let's call them assassins. I'm too lazy to look up their actual name. This game isn't important enough, to be honest. One looked like an alien giraffe, and the other one looked like, I don't know, a sand shroom mated with a geodude or something. They were pretty nasty though, because you could not free yourself from either of them. One would carry you away, and one would attack you where you were. But unless you had a teammate with you to stop it, you were done for. It was pretty obnoxious, to be honest. And speaking of characters, the AI characters, the bots in this game, are mentally handicapped. Like, there are different skill levels you can choose for the AI, which is kind of unusual in itself. But even at the highest setting, the setting at which they are supposed to have the most skill, which is masterful, it's called, they are garbage. Constantly wandering away, typically right when one of these previously mentioned enemies come out where they need saved from it, or they will just side strafe back and forth right in front of your gun and just bitch the whole time about you shooting him in the back of the head. You see, because this game has friendly fire, so you're doing damage to them the whole time. It was infuriating. Especially when you have a turret or a flamethrower per se. And speaking of the turrets, stationary turret for the win. At any point in time that I found a stationary turret, I would carry it with me for the rest of the round. And there was this one situation we were in where we were in like some, underground laboratory or something, and the screen prompted us to survive the horde, but really, we had to escape. So we sat there in a doorway with this mounted turret and just slaughtered hundreds upon hundreds of these aliens because it doesn't have any ammo capacity. It's infinite. Just waiting for the horde to die so that we can progress to the next area. I mean, eventually we kind of figured it out, but it was a pretty comical moment. So before we draw this to a close, we have to discuss the final mission. Now, there doesn't need to be a disclaimer for a spoiler alert, because the story is so plain in this game. This last level could be any other level you've played before, but with it being the very last level of the game, it added to the disappointing factor quite a bit. So the last level did have an increased amount of difficulty, but the reason the difficulty was higher was because you were playing in a mine. There wasn't a boss, there wasn't any change in the tactics, there wasn't any change in the type of enemies that you fought. They all fought the same way, they spawned at essentially the same rate. But being in a mine drastically decreased your maneuverability. The point of this level was you had to gather some drills so that in the end, you could put them in a circle in a cavern. Though I don't know if you could call it a cavern because it was open to the sky, but whatever, who cares. There are 5 or 6 of these. You would put one down, you would activate it, you would defend it for a period of time, say a minute or so, and then you would progress around the ring and do all the drills. Then, once you finished that, a helicopter came in from out of nowhere. You saw him earlier in the game, but you have no idea that he was coming to begin with. He has a giant bomb. Then, oh no, there's a tragedy. The release won't release the bomb down into the hole, so you have to shoot the clasp so the bomb drops. Okay, so you do that. Then, run down the hill to the outlined area to escape. And then it blows it up, and nothing is solved. At all. It was a nest, I assume. But there's another part of the game where you flew over a field of them. So, what is solved? Nothing. The climax of the game is like watching the ending to the first Lord of the Rings movie, not knowing there were sequels, where the ending is them just walking into a field and then the credits come. That's essentially how this game ended. We were dumbfounded. That's it. I don't know. Are there DLCs coming? I mean, there might be, but I'm not gonna fucking buy them. I need to set forth some type of requirements so I can assign a numerical value to these games when I do reviews. I mean, this is my second one that I've done, so it's not important enough for me to really do it. So it's all gonna go based on my feels, and I'd say this game is a 5 out of 10. It's average. I mean, it is average if it's anything. If you and 3 friends have a weekend to kill and $120 burning a hole in your pocket between the 4 of you, fine, give it a shot. But you will be disappointed.